And welcome to the 6th video in the Create series. So in this video we are going to talk all things audio. So we've already talked about adding in an audio file to your video, just cut and dry. We're gonna put visual to music, very simple, right? Well, so in this video I'm going to show you how to add maybe perhaps like sound effects as so the one that I've picked in particular is the sound of a champagne bottle popping. And also how to record your own sounds within the system. So right now where what we've got pictured here is okay, caveat. This software doesn't come pre-made. It does come pre-made with audio files, but the audio files are predominantly not sounds. They are like bits and pieces of music that are about 40 to a minute and a half long that you could potentially use as kind of template style. We will go through this menu and I'll show you how to get to those in a little bit. But for right now, basically the way that I got this champagne cork sound and also pouring the champagne is downloaded off of YouTube, the same way that I showed you how to download just regular content. So you can literally type into YouTube search, champagne bottle cork pour, not to mention add in the free version, and there are plenty of no copyright sounds that you just download them and then do the same that we did, upload them onto your content. So up here is a champagne bottle cork popping. So I've already dragged it onto the timeline, and also just to add, I've taken the volume out of our audio piece that we already put in here so that it's only the sound of the champagne popping. And right here, so one thing you want to notice, so it goes pop and then pour, right? So right now, and what I did here was I lined it up, right? So this is where in the visual file that I want the pop to happen, right? And then the pour afterwards. So basically all you're going to do, drag it down, cut it the same way you would anything else, and then you're going to align it with where you want the footage to happen. And I'm actually going to move this just a little bit back so that these are perfectly in line with one another. So when you see this picture, it's going to pop. All right, so I'm just going to play this through and show you. Oops. That was a bit delayed, huh? And of course, adding this in as a caveat, all video creation is a process of trial and error. Obviously, the more you play around with this, the more comfortable you're going to get, the faster you're going to get. At first, it can all feel very overwhelming, which is why I break this up into small little pieces. So it's a matter of trial and error, though, because getting that timing right is going to not only make it visually more appeasing, but the sound, you'll realize that the sound effects really can emphasize what you're watching. So let's see. All right, so it was still a little late, so we're just gonna move it a little bit more. And of course, we've already talked about the zoom feature, but I'm obviously just doing this by touch, like playing around in the dark. But as soon as you zoom in here and get really, really specific, you can exactly line it up how we talked about before. Right now, I'm just trying to figure out. There we go. So that is adding a sound effect to your video. Sound effects are great for a couple of reasons. One, you can use them as an additional transition feature when you're changing from one song to another. For instance, one time I used a car skid, which did match along perfectly with the video. With the video I was creating. As a segue to go from one song to the other, because the songs weren't very similar, right? So I needed something in the middle of the two songs that broke up, moving from one song to the other. So sound effects can be great, not only additions on top of other audio that you have or by themselves. So similarly to adding sound effects, you can also record your own footage within the app or software, depending on whatever. You can record your own footage within the app or software, and you're going to do this by this magic record button. So we're not going to actually record anything. I'm just going to click it and show you what happens. So essentially, you're going to use you can use your camera, you can use your microphone, you know, cursor, mouse clicks, just depends on what you're trying to do. So it is going to do a both visual and audio recording. It's not just one or the other. And so you do have to kind of, you know, pick what you're trying to do. And quite frankly, if you are just doing, if you're trying to just do an audio recording, it might be easier for you to record the audio outside of Create and then import it the same way that we've been importing everything else. Because then you don't have to separate the visual from the audio. It can just come in purely as an audio file. Sometimes it's a little easier to keep everything separate instead of having to split everything up. So anyway, this is how you record within the app. And we've already talked about other audio files that are available, but when we get to the VIP with this menu, we'll get into the audio that is innately in this app. All right, so I'll see you on the next one.